Okay, so we've kind of looked at what's happened previously, and what I wanted to share with you is what I think is going to happen in the future. Now, this is my opinion. Obviously, some of you may agree with it, some of you may disagree with it, but nonetheless, here we go. Okay, another straw poll. I like getting everyone involved and getting everyone going. So you may have heard a lot about generally the age expectancy of people buying their first home has increased. People are originally buying them in the mid-20s, it's now the mid-30s, or even in the late 30s. So why are the 2030 not buying property in Great Britain? Who thinks it's down to the property being too expensive?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. And who thinks it's because of job mobility? No? Who thinks it's because they can't get a deposit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be the case. Okay. Fine, quite. It's nearly unanimous there, but okay. I'm sure we're all aware of 95% mortgages. So as at 20th of June, appreciate this data this is 6 months old, but for me it's still relevant. It's still within the last year. But this is data that I've looked at. These are types of mortgages that first-time buyers could achieve at that point in time. I appreciate the rates may have changed by now, but generally at that point in time there were 176 first-time buyer mortgages available. This is an example of a two-bed terrace house. I pulled off the data. If you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of cover that up. Yeah, two-bed terrace house on Lincoln Street, just around the Acomb area in Poppleton. On the market for £155,000 currently. And what I've kind of said is I've put some rough numbers here. So if you were to buy it for £150,000 at a 95% mortgage, you have to put a 5% deposit down of £7,500. These are some of the rates which I've looked at quite recently. Just having a quick look on a quick sense check online, and if we could remind ourselves of these figures, so £618 per calendar month is what a first-time buyer would have to pay if they're going on Barclays fixed rate mortgage, and then Melton Mowbray is £532. Okay. So that same property, I did a comparable for a two-bed terrace house within a quarter-mile vicinity of this beauty, and came up with Bright Street. Now this matches similar criteria. It's in relatively good condition, similar kind of size property, and the rent it's achieved. This is a let agreed property because this is what it would have achieved on the open market. So we remind ourselves £682 and £532 versus a monthly rent of £650. Yeah. There we go. So what that illustrates to me is that people are able to the level of rent versus the level of mortgage repayments to actually own your own property is fairly similar, if not less. So the point I'm trying to illustrate here is that actually is it the fact that people just can't raise the deposit?
Yeah, that's the reason why.
So
Raise it for a start off. The price of the houses are too dear. They can't then raise the deposit. You usually have to fall back on the parents to get a deposit and then move forward from there. Or they have to use the building as well, if there is any left.
well, yes, thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments, and as this gentleman just pointed out, the point I was referring to is the cultural situation. I appreciate that. And what we can do is we can certainly have a Q&A at the end. So just do bear with me. Okay, fine. So this is where this is the graph that I pulled together. If we look back in around about 1980, the level of owner-occupied, the percentage of owner-occupied was around about 22-23%, whereas the buy-to-let sector seemed to dominate around this time. And then as we go along, I appreciate this is around 2008, but what seemingly is happening here is we're going towards reverting to the curve is slightly starting to dip, and we are going back in towards a private, going back towards private rental. So growth of the renting and buy-to-lets, but I believe there are 5 stages to why the buy-to-let market is currently growing, and in part it's due to the sell-off of council homes back in the late 70s and early 80s. There was evidently with these properties being sold off, there's less stock on the market. Also stage 2, the introduction of the 1988 Housing Act. This is something I'll cover in the legal update, but effectively, prior to the 1988 Housing Act, there was a lot of legislation pro-tenant favour, which made landlords who wanted to evict their tenants very difficult. And the introduction of the Housing Act was brought in the assured short-hold tenancy, and subsequently the ability for landlords to serve notice on their tenant via Section 21, which we'll go into in a minute. Stage 3, okay. Back in 1997, there was the introduction of the buy-to-let mortgage, which has had, further made buy-to-let more appealing. Stage 4 was the growth of the accidental landlord. So, if you imagine back in 1998, your property was probably worth £100,000. You then, 10 years on, with capital growth, it's suddenly grown to £200,000. And then there's a property crash. As a result, the property cash prices dropped by £50,000. The general attitude was that rather than thinking I've made £100,000, the attitude was I've lost £50,000. So a lot of accidental landlords thought, well, I don't want to sell my property, I'm going to time the market, wait till the market picks up again. Incidentally, around this time, there were a lot of properties that weren't coming on the market for rental, and it did have an impact on the market rents, given that there was such a larger supply. Stage 5, I mean, what this gentleman here said about the culture, the changing attitudes towards renting, from what we can see is there has been a changing attitude, and people generally there are more people renting. I appreciate you saying what you mentioned about the property prices are higher than they have been, but that is just the York market, unfortunately. Property, it's an affluent area, isn't it, to invest in. And with that in mind, that's why I personally feel like the property market in York is going to continue to rise, and as well as the level of buy-to-let demand. And that's me for now. What I'm going to do is speak to Amanda now, get her to do a piece on the property tax, and then ready to go.
Yeah.
Let me just set you up here, okay?